Start whenever you're ready.
Yeah, man, we started. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. How's work been?
Okay, we're starting by how's the work going instead of introducing yourself.
Hey, man, you know what? I spent so much time figuring out like the equipment and stuff. I don't even know how I'm gonna do the
What's
podcast itself.
what happened? What brought the thought to start a podcast?
Supposed to be interviewing you, right?
I'm asking you now.
Good question. Okay, so I watched this TED Talk a while ago, right? It's one of the guys that worked at Pixar, Andrew Stanton. I can't name you what projects he worked on, but some of the classics, like you think back to the era of Finding Nemo and all those ones, right? And so he said in this podcast, the TED Talk, there's no one you can't learn to love once you've heard their story. Now, this is something like I've heard it before somewhere else, but when he said it, it made me think like you can be buying like groceries at Spar or something, but if you just take like 5 minutes to talk to the lady, you'll learn that she's studying at the same time. She's got a kid, but she's trying to get enough money to buy an apartment or something. And you're like, man, those are interesting people, just in general.
It's crazy how you got that as an inspiration, where else you're already doing multiple things at the same time. This was just an addition.
Maybe I just like punishing myself. I don't know, with more work.
And then people still ask you, do you have a life? Do you have a life?
I don't know, but you've got way better balance, because I know my
Yeah,
food and stuff,
y-
eating and stuff is an issue, but
And
you've got
that's
everything
that's
down.
what people say. But when I think about the stuff that I have to do each day, and I'm like, okay, this is getting out of hand. You have to wake up early in the morning. Think about 5 a.m. I have to wake up maybe half 4, prepare to gym for 5. At 5, I'm at gym until maybe at most 6:30. 6:30, I come back from home. I have to bath, eat, and then prepare for work. 7:20, I should be at the bus station, catching a bus to work.
It's mad, dude. That is
To
mad.
work.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the reason why I just like prefer going at 7. So based on the contract, you're supposed to be there by half 7. But most people, work, they just come in late, 8, whatsoever. But for me, I just prefer to be punctual. The earlier I get to work, the sooner I get my tasks done, so that I can focus on other things, like you have personal projects whatsoever. So you still whatever time that you can from your normal day-to-day job to do other things. And that's just for that. And then you have to come back home, you are tired, you have other things that you have to do, potentially other projects that you have to work on, and then you have to rest for a few minutes. After that, you have to get working again. Now, I wonder, when people say you have everything like under control, that schedule alone, it does not factor a lot of things that a normal person would do. Like, for instance, you have like your social time, you have like proper rest, proper sleep, whatever. Already, I wake up like at 4 and I sleep late, sometimes midnight, sometimes 1 o'clock, and then you have to sleep for 3 hours or something like that. I think at most, I sleep for like 6 hours. That's like one rare day. I think it happened yesterday because I slept early. But usually, I sleep for like 4 hours, and that's
Yeah. And that I actually, so we've been friends for how many years now? Started in 2018.
2018.
We met at university. And you told me for the first time that you hardly sleep. You only get maybe, let's say, 3 hours, 4 hours. I never believed you for 2 years. I never believed you until the final year, our final year project. Then I saw
Get-
this
No,
man,
no.
you actually don't sleep
I
at
don't
all.
believe that. I don't believe that. Because in first year, remember how you used to rely on energy drinks just to be like productive on campus? That's when I realized now this man doesn't sleep. Because
Yeah,
you were still doing like your video editing and photography on the other side. So mixing that with your academics, already you were taking like your body was taking a lot of toll because of that.
You know what the difference is though? The difference is I was forcing myself to stay awake. You don't force yourself to stay awake. You actually just stay awake. Actually, I want to know, like, was it always like that though?
I don't think so. So I think I actually never thought about it, but when I think about the stuff that I used to do back then, so like from high school, I think I used to wake up early before going to school. So I used to wake up early. You do like your house chores, so it could be doing dishes, doing the yard, whatever thing, and then after that you have to bath and then go to school. When you come back to school, I was too playful. So when I come back from school, I'd go play. Come back around 8 or 7 late at night. Yeah, like it's crazy, but I used to do that. I used to have like a lot of friends back then. And then from 8, you have to bath. And if let's say I don't have dishes to do for that day, and then I have to bath and then study. And if I have dishes, then I have to do dishes. So studying always, it was a thing that I always do late at night because that's when I would be coming home from either playing soccer, chilling with friends late at night. So from a young age, I feel like that sort of, it became a routine for me to sleep late. So right now, I just wake up early at 4, 3 sometimes, depending on how my body feels, like without even setting an alarm. So my body got used to that. I don't set alarm anymore. It's a bad thing, but it's somehow I managed to get productive throughout the day and late at night.
Okay, so on average, and we've had this chat before, right? And finally, I think on average, people need about 6 to 8 hours of
Yeah,
sleep, right?
probably.
And any less, I think you start cutting off years from your life, right? But the thing is, you get anomalies. And I think you're one
Yeah.
of those anomalies
The,
because you're actually an extremely high performer.
the problem is somehow you think you're an anomaly because you're trying to like convince yourself what you're doing is okay, but then it's really not. And then some people when they have the conversation about yeah you probably die young whatsoever, who cares about that? If I die 40, then what's there to live for after 40? I don't know. I just think life is a bit more interesting now to your 30s. Maybe after 40, it might be because then you probably be settled, have your family whatsoever. And that at that point in time, I feel like life becomes extremely routine to a point that you can't chill with friends as much as you used to. You now have to settle down, and I don't think that's interesting for me at this point. As I grow old, I might find that interesting, but right now I'm not even thinking about starting a family. You know? Do you think about that?
You, much the similar way you are thinking about it. I've thought about it like because okay, so there's this game I was playing recently. It's called Cyberpunk 2077, right? In the beginning of the game, oh well, the premise of the game is you're at the bottom of the city's crime. Essentially, you're like a thug, but you're trying to work your way up to be one of the best. And so one day you hop into this car early on in the game, and there's a big shot in the car, like he's going to give you jobs, right? And he's testing you first because he wants to work with you, but he doesn't know who you are. So he says, would you rather die young in a blaze of glory, everyone knowing your name, or would you go out old and weak and nobody knew you ever existed, but you're old? And you got three options. You can either say young, old, or you can say, I don't know. I don't know if you have a choice. And so I thought about that. And I know you've always had this mentality, even when we were at university, like life is an experience. You should experience life, not at the cost of, maybe not with fear of dying or fear of the future.
I'll be dead. Who cares?
Yeah, we're not there. Well, that's the way you see it. And I actually,
I'll be dead. So
I'll be dead. I won't.
yeah,
I won't
I don't care.
care.
I'll be dead. It's like people asking you like, you should go to church so that when you die, people come to your funeral or whatsoever thing. Like I don't care. I mean, 50 comes, 10 comes, no one comes, I'll be dead. Like life stopped for me. So I feel like you should value like the present, experiment as much as you can with all things. Like we know you're not born knowing certain things. You're not born knowing how to play soccer, for instance. You have to learn. So it goes to everything in life. It's just experimental. Some experiments are good, others are bad, and others would cost you something. So you do them, and then there's a price to pay for doing that experiment. It's just like now, we're always too busy with work, right? And our social life tends to suffer. And if you get into a relationship, that suffers the most as well, because you now hardly have time because you choose to do multiple things at the same time, trying to maximize your time and money for whatever reasons. I don't know what the motivation behind money is, because like, have you ever thought about why do you do them, like the many things that you do right now? Is it because of money, or is because you're trying to get yourself like hands on? You're trying to see like your potential, your capacity, how many things can you do at once? Have you ever thought about that? Like for me, I did think about it for quite some time. I mean, at first, when I got like, let's say, my first job, whatever. At first, okay, I was thinking, okay, now I'm gonna make money. I have to pay the fees that I owe back to the university. I wanna help at home, and then I felt at some point in time that money was not enough. You know, now I needed more money, so now I take side projects, do something on the side to give you like an extra income. Now you're able to settle whatever bills, whatever thing, and then after, that's when I thought about, okay, now it's not just about the money. Now it seems to be like the job is somehow not satisfying me in some ways. So I do something else to fill in that gap. And you keep on adding many things. But now when you keep on adding things, other things have to suffer. So what's the price to pay for doing multiple things at the same time?
Yeah, no, I see that. Okay, so from the beginning, when you mentioned living life for now, for the experience now, right? People use that as an excuse to do crappy things. That's my issue.
We all do.
Okay, but there's a degree now, right? Because there's some people that are like, let's say, do hard drugs or something,
Yeah.
and they'll say YOLO. It's like, okay, fine, but you need to be careful now. I don't know the full answer yet, but I know that there's a line that you can't pass, right? So let's say, this is where we're really we're laying out what this podcast is going to be now, because I'm going to say, so like sleeping around, let's say sleeping around, right? People will use wanting to experience life as an excuse to just sleep around. What's the consequence of that? You lose the ability to form deeper connections with a single person. Yeah. So there's consequences for that, but you justify it. So so there's some things that you can't, right? Do you agree with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. But having said that, I agree that as life goes on, your motivations for doing things change as well. Sometimes your motivations get lost entirely and you stop doing those activities. Sometimes you find new motivations. Like in the beginning, let's say it was just money. Then it became your mom and your family's house.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, let me put some money in there. It's meaningful.
Right? And talking about the excuses for making certain decisions, like sometimes, especially let's say with the relationships, have you ever had people say that if you don't mess now, like let's say mess with multiple girls, you will do that when you are married, and that's like an excuse for you to make bad decisions or do that, because they think if you don't do it now, you have to do it at some point in time in life. They make it seem like certain things, like let's say groove, it's a stage in life that everyone has to go through. And that's wrong. It's not a stage of life that everyone has to go through. It's a choice, because you could still have like a fulfilling life without doing certain things that most people deem like it's a good thing to do. It's okay. We all have to enjoy life. We have to enjoy the moment, but we still have to be careful of the decisions that we make now, because there are consequences.
Okay, so enjoy the moment, but not at the detriment of the future, maybe. But I like what you said about the phases thing, because people use that as an argument a lot. I've heard that argument a lot. In fact, a couple years ago,
Yeah.
I think it was a few years ago. So there's a gent by the name of Alunga Madala.
Mm-hmm.
He did a TED talk at the university.
Yeah.
I'm still in contact with him today as well. And when I first I did his TEDx talk was about. It's centered around desensitizing in the current age, not paying attention because of social media and YouTube and all these things, and you kind of lose track of the here and now. I'm butchering it, but there was more to his talk, but it was a very good talk. And so it stayed in my mind because I edited the talk. And then months went by, if not a year, going to gym. And then I see this gent, right? He looks like the same guy. He looks like Alunga,
Yeah.
but he's jacked. I was like, there's no way. Does this guy have like a jacked brother or something? And then we met, and then I was like,
Ah, now I
kn-
remember the story.
yeah. I was like, I know you. And he looked worried. He's like, what do you mean you know me? I said,
Yeah.
I edited your TED talk, dude.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going out for coffee. We must have spent like 5-6 hours talking just about anything and everything.
Yeah.
One of the things we touched upon was phases in life, or so-called phases. And I said the same thing. I said people mistake experiences in life for phases.
Yeah.
You don't have to
You
go.
don't have to.
You don't have to go on a quote-unquote whole phase. I don't think that's it. And it applies to guys as well. I'm not saying it's just girls. It's
Yeah.
guys as well. It's like we call it a phase, but it's not.
It's
doesn't
not a
have to be
phase,
Alcohol, going out and clubbing and stuff. I know people that don't club. They don't go out.
Yeah, it's just to the general public, when you don't do certain things that are deemed phases in life, they sort of like think that you're not an interesting person, you know, because you don't do what they do. You don't do what normal people do, let's say general people do, and that's the you tend to, if you don't make the same choices as most people in life, you will be isolated in some ways, in most ways actually, because let's say if you don't do clubbing, most of the people that you meet, they'll probably do clubbing, and if you don't do that, then it's hard to have the connection because you don't share common interest. You probably like something else that most people don't like, so some ways isolation. Hence when you meet guys like you, into tech savvy stuff, you want to get hands on stuff. You don't want just a normal day-to-day job. You want to do something extra on the side. It's very rare to meet guys like that. And when you meet someone like that and then you realize, oh, I'm not alone. Actually, there are quite a lot more people who want to get like their hands on. They want to see how many things they can take at once. Basically maximize your time, your I'd like to think it's about money, but I think it's far more deeper than that. Because it reminds me of something that Trevor Noah said. He said, is if I don't misquote what he said, but he kind of said that most people are not after money, but they're after access, you know,
Access to?
access to the things that you would get with money. So it's not necessarily that you want the money, but you want access to things.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. I see
yeah,
that,
like for
yeah.
instance, you need clothes. You want clothes. So if you had an option to get clothes without
Yes.
getting the money, you would straight up go for that. And it's the same thing with the multiple jobs, the doing different tasks just to get money to do something else, because there's like a goal that you want to do with the money.
100%,
And I feel
yeah.
like that's the reason behind us doing what we do. We're trying to get something.
It gets disconcerting though, because I've had conversations recently, I'd say recently, and throughout the years, right, where, especially now because we have jobs, right,
Yeah.
and you assume because you're in a job, this is the end goal. Like you're here, you studied, you wanted to get here, right? You wanted to get here, right?
Yeah.
And so people ask you, yeah, how's things going? And then I say, because it's the truth, it's pretty hectic, balancing everything out.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And then they say, yeah, but you love it, right? And then you take a step back and you're like, I forgot.
So I like suffering. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, because you see it as suffering. Right? But the point is, because it's not the final goal. You're just doing it
It's
to
a
get
process.
somewhere.
Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah, but sometimes you think, did I just choose a goal that's too big? Is it,
Yeah,
you know,
it happens. It
you know?
happens. Is this project too ambitious for me? I feel like that happens, especially when things are getting out of control. Now you start questioning that, and you have to do something to get back in control. And typically, with projects or tasks, whatever that you may have, is you need to get something done. And as soon as you get something done, now you sort of like going back in line with what you have to do, and you've realized that okay, I'm actually in control, but just for a moment. Like it's a small thing that can disturb the entire thing that will make you doubt what you're doing now.
Actually, you're 100% right. Because this morning there's a, it's an interview channel, I think you'd want to call it, on YouTube called Soft White Underbelly. Have you heard of it? So it's this photographer, professional photographer, that decided to start interviewing some of his subjects. And sorry. And he pulls these people from like the streets, dude. He's interviewed pimps, prostitutes,
I
gangsters.
would like to hear what they were talking about. Eh?
Yeah, dude, it's very interesting. No, you should check it out for sure. And
Yeah.
this morning in my feed, he was interviewing a bounty hunter. So you know, bounty hunters are actually real. I didn't know that they were actually like actual authorities nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, like if somebody's out on bail or something and they go against the terms of their bail,
Mm-hmm.
and the cops can't get them, they hire bounty hunters. But these bounty hunters are like, they're given authority by the state in America. They're given authorities by certain states.
Yeah.
And so then this guy was talking about how he understands like tough situations. Like sometimes guys get violent and he has to deal with them, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying that moments leading up to it, right? He's never questioned what he's doing. Like he's I don't want to say happy. I don't know if he was happy with his job, but this is the job he wanted to get into.
Yeah.
He only questions it at that point where things get tough.
Yeah.
In the back of his mind, if he's like really scared, he's like, eh, I don't know now. Eh? I don't know. But then he figures out how to get control.
Yeah.
And then he realizes it's fine. Because, I mean, think about it in our sense, right? We're talking about like goals of running businesses and stuff. And only when it gets hard, you're like, eh. But you were fine all along. What happened?
Yeah, you're fine all along. Something changed. It's a small thing.
You just slipped a little. I like that. I like that. I like that. You're right. You're right.
And
But
when
what
that
happens when those moments get like a lot, though? When they come a lot,
you have to step back.
you have to step back.
Yeah, you have to step back.
Step back. What,
Yeah,
step back or snap back? What do you mean?
It depends. It depends. Snapping back, it means that you can do something that could, quickly get everything in control. Something small, that's snapping back. But then if you have to step back now, it means it's a lot to handle. And now you need to see the whole view of the situation and then make a decision. Either cut something off or something, but you need to step back. It's just like when let's say you in a relationship, for instance, and things aren't working out as they should. Sometimes you need to step back, take a break with the person. I think so. Take a break and then redefine what you want, what your goals are, and then you can, decide whether you want to go on with the relationship or not. It's the same thing. When work gets a lot, like me right now, I have so many projects that I actually think that if someone were to come to me and say, can you do this thing for me? I don't think I would take it, even if the money is good, because there's quite a lot that I have to do. Because what you're trying to do is to like give value to like the same value to all your clients. It's a small project, it pays less. It's a big project, it pays more. You still give them the same attention, the same service whatsoever. So I'm not going to abandon your project because it's a small one and someone's going to pay me more. It's just going to add to the workload. And if I cut you off now I'm depriving you a service that you've actually paid for. So you have to sometimes take a step back, pause everything. You pause. You're not giving up. I'm pausing. I'm taking a break. I'll get back to it. It means I need to deal with something. I need to either get to a point where you're doing one project at a time, complete this one, then move on to the other one, or change something. Like either decide that okay, I'm giving it like 2 hours each day to do like separate projects. That's something that you can do to get back in order. Um, so it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. You know what you're going through.
I know, and yeah, it's I one of the ways that I step back is by getting out of the environment that you're in at that moment.
Cycle.
So that so my room set up for everything, right? Sleep in there, work in there, play in there, everything, right? It's a mistake now. because now everything is in one place. So your mentality doesn't shift. So if I work for like 6 hours straight on this PC and then I want to switch and play a game, it's like
It's not so. It's just not too
it doesn't
easy.
feel nice. It doesn't feel nice. And so in future I would yeah, in my own apartment I would separate the two. But what I often do, and it wasn't even just me, it's not coming from me, it's coming from someone else. I can't name the gentleman now, but he's running I believe it's a tech company somewhere in Africa. My dad introduced me to him, and he was kind of like assisting in a mentor sort of position. And once every few weeks, I'll just have a check in with him. I tell him what I'm doing, and because it was during final year, it was
Yeah.
during final year when we were building that system, the VDSR, the Vehicle Digital Service Tracking System.
I forgot about
We'll
that.
talk about that one. So and then my dad, on the day, my dad was like, "Do you have like 5 minutes?" I was like, "Why?" He says, "No, can you come meet this gentleman?"
Yeah.
He says, "It's only gonna be like 5-10 minutes." I said, "Okay." I was tired. We probably came back from one of our presentations. I met this guy. He was so interested in the stuff we were working on. It's like the system is a gold mine. He was interested in the work I was doing, the side jobs and stuff. And so we started this sort of half mentor mentee thing. And there was a point where, do you remember when we went out to Monte Casino or something? It was with Bongani.
Yeah, yeah,
Went
I
to the
remember that
Wings
time.
place.
Yeah.
And I had a call from him. I had to excuse myself. I told him, earlier that day, I sent him a text, which is why he called me. I said, I don't know if I've bitten off more than I could chew because because things are getting intense right now, and I'm not sure if it's a case of I want my cake and to eat it as well, or if I just need to take a break or what. And then he says, what I do is I go or take a flight somewhere else. I go take a holiday somewhere
Refresh.
else.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I can't take flights now. but I think maybe I can get out of my room. And he says, yeah, just anything, just remove yourself from that situation. And I did it. I can't recall if this was before starting the 9 to 5, but I asked my parents if I could go stay by their place at the Val just for a few days, just to clear my head and stuff. There were other reasons for doing it as well, but it helped. It actually helped. Even you told me to take walks.
I take walks.
Dude,
until I move
the
to Bram.
walks. Okay, no, now you can't take. now
Until
you take
I move
runs. Now you run.
Nah. And that's so true. Like just stepping back, doing something completely different gives you like a fresh perspective. Now when you come back to your environment, you're not having the same feelings that you have when you left, you know. Like to me, how I try to fight this thing of having everything in one room is I try to have like some sort of a routine. Like for instance, if you want to watch anime, I'll only watch anime if I'm eating, or it's just I don't plan to do any work for that moment. Like maybe I'll do work in like 3 hours or something like that, and I'll probably watch 1 or 2 episodes of anime, then relax, just go to the balcony or just do something different, and then get back to it. So like I try, especially with anime, you can really lose yourself there. There was I think a point in time when I was watching One Piece.
No, but One Piece is long. Dude.
Yeah,
It's like
I was watching more than 10 episodes in one day. That's a couple of hours, and then each episode is like 20 something minutes. I was going through life. That really help at that point. It's what I needed.
clearly.
It gave me what I
If it
needed
worked,
to
yeah.
go through life whatsoever. So I feel like there's just always that one thing that you have to do to, you know,
to
get like a different mindset,
yes.
because like especially with gaming, you're gaming and you want to do work. That's something that it boosts your emotions. You feel good when you play games. You lose yourself for that moment, and now when you go to work, you need to have like a completely different mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not having fun anymore. Work is good. Sometimes you enjoy doing work, but sometimes you do it because you have to get some things done. They need something. I need to report tomorrow. So it's not the feeling of having fun while doing the report. You're doing it because you need to get something done. Now you need to have like a different mindset when doing that task.
Yeah. But it takes, I don't know if it's maturity or experience or something, but you need to know how to also step away from your anxiety as well. You need to, because, sharp, I'm busy with work now. I'm working for the past 4 or 5 hours. Now I want to take a break and play a game. It's still here, dude.
It's
It's
still,
still in
yeah,
the
yeah,
back of my
yeah.
mind.
You're not gonna enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to also put up boundaries for yourself and know, okay, as soon as the clock stops here, I'm in break mode. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing will take me away from it.
Yeah.
You know, people in corporate space have that issue. I'm experiencing that with people around me. They like they don't know where to put the boundary. Also because your bosses sometimes they'll demand a bit more from you. Like it just so happens you're working on a project that
Yeah.
requires you to work just a bit past 5. It is what it is, you know.
It is what
But
it
then at the
is.
same time, you also, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Part of it is the maturity thing. You should also know.
And also, when you're talking about your bosses demanding you to do certain things after hours, it's a bit tricky, because there's some tasks that you can ask me to do. And it's a small task. I can get it done in 10 minutes. But now you want me to do something that can take a couple of hours, and you're not paying me for after hours. It's it's a problem. Now I'm just gonna get back to work because we're talking about work.
Yeah.
We don't talk a lot about how employees in general they tend to take advantage of you doing work remotely. Like for instance, remote work, you have like working hours, right? You have, let's say 8 to 5. It's just now you're in a different settings. You're not at the office. Usually, it's like that. I think most contracts are just like that. Even if it's remote work, you still have like working hours. You need to be accessible during that time. So that's
You need to
still
be
your working
online.
hours. Yeah. They would feed in a lot of work for you to do. And then let's say I have to report tomorrow. I have more tasks to do. That 8 hours that I have to work is now not enough. Now I have to work at 8 p.m. to do the extra task because the time is not enough anymore. And I feel like once you realize that, now you need to have like conversation with either your manager or something like that to say it's getting out of hand. And most people don't do that.
They're very agreeable. A lot
Yeah,
of people are
they don't
agreeable.
do that because now I have to do more work after hours and you're not paying me for that. Yeah, you could use the excuse and say, I love my job. Yeah, you love your job, but you're not going to value you if you don't set boundaries as well because you're doing something and they get used to it. They get used to it. Which is why, even if it's like remote work or something like that, you sort of need to communicate that if let's say they give you additional tasks to say that I'm still hands-on with this, fine, I can take it, but I won't give it same attention as whatever projects, whatever, because you have to prioritize something at the end of the day. Remote work is not so easy as most people make it seem like it is, because there are also distraction at home, which is why you now have to invest in your own setup, whatever thing, to get yourself comfortable and to avoid distractions. But
Yeah, no, 100%. But it's even more remote working when you're working at home. It's even more packed in because I find that I forget that I have lunch in the middle. You just kind of go over it
I
because you
never
like,
compromise food, bro. I never do.
okay, yeah, that's something I need to learn from you. That is definitely something I need to learn from you. So, but yeah, it feels like you said, you just end up going over. I don't know what it is exactly. Is it the comfort aspect, or if you're just, it's not work, it's not your office environment. So it's like maybe in the office environment you want to leave. So you're constantly looking for an opportunity to not work. Is that what it is? I don't know, because at home it's more intense. You're right. You're right. It's more intense, and part of it is people will assign more. Okay, let's say, look, maybe people will assign more work to you. Maybe they'll assume they'll get more from you if you're working from home. I don't know, but from the personal side, why is it more intense then? Or does it depend on the person? Because if you think about it, surface level, right?
Yeah.
Before COVID, you tell someone about remote working, they'll think, you're going to be lazy at home. You're just going to chill at home, right?
Yeah.
But not everyone is like that. Like,
Mhm.
you're not like that.
Mhm.
You work like maybe twice, 3 times harder at
I
home.
have to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to work.
So maybe it depends on the person then.
I
don't
think
know.
there's multiple factors that affect that. Let me just make an example. So sometimes we interchange. So like this week you could be at the office, this week you'd be working from home. For me, I've gotten too comfortable working from home, and I think it applies to most people. They prefer working from home than at the office. There's a lot of factors that influence, like, that decision whether you prefer at home or at the office. First of all, when you work at the office, you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare work. After work, you have to think about traveling, traffic, and all that nonsense. And number two, office might not be it might not be an environment where like you excel. Like
For
it's
what
a,
reasons?
it's a I'll make an example. Me, library in varsity, I didn't I didn't like that. I didn't like studying at the library. So
Because you
it
fell
was
asleep.
I'd fall asleep. Yo,
We'd all
that
fall
place
asleep.
was so depressing. Everyone was just serious, eh? And I was like, for me, I don't like putting myself in situations like that.
That's why we were always in the student center then.
Yeah, what is the student center? I'd like to have like a different feeling when I do something so that I can bring like the fun of doing that task. At the library, everyone was serious. And it's like the same temperature. It's either hot or cold or whatever thing. There's just a lot of things that might influence you not being productive in that space. Most people are productive, but I'm not. It doesn't work for me. Now I need to be in an environment that works for me. Hence, when I'm at the office, fine, I get to the office because I have to be at the office. I do get work done. But at 2 or 3 or something like that, already my mind it should be doing something else when I'm at home. And I want to leave at that point. You have to stay until knock time, whatever. But your mind is just not there anymore. It could be because you were just productive earlier, now you don't have like more work to do. Or it could be the environment itself. You just you don't feel comfortable enough to spend 8 hours in that
I'm
environment.
glad you said that word, because I was just going to ask you then, is it comfort? Because here's the issue. When you're too comfortable now,
Yeah.
I've heard people saying like they chill in bed with their laptop doing work. I can't do that.
I can't.
Huh?
Yeah, I can't.
I'll fall asleep with that thing on my lap. I promise you. Like, it's insane how.
Yeah.
But then counterintuitive now, because you're saying that comfort leads to higher work efficiency. Most people, it's the other way around now. You
Too
get too comfortable. You're like,
too
that's
much
why
comfortable.
at university they turned down the temperatures in some of those lecture halls. Do you remember which lecture halls were the cold ones? You remember, like tutor and stuff. Like, they were very cold. They were
Centenary was cold.
Centenary is
As always cold.
it's a morgue. And they'll tell you, no, it's so you can. Who said it? Was it Prof. Gruna or someone? He was like, no, it's so you don't fall asleep. Stay awake. And it's actually true. And so there's like a bit of discomfort. That's why in the office, in the beginning, maybe now as well, I'm like, I'm fine going to the office. Okay, I'm fine being in the office, not going to the office. The going is an issue, dude. That traffic and
There's traffic. There's just a lot to deal with.
no, it's a lot. But being in the office, you're like laser focused, because I don't have my setup distracting me. I don't have my couch.
Yeah.
I don't have the TV, whatever. So then, how do you just perform well when you're more comfortable then?
More comfortable. Yeah, I could say so in that environment. Because at the office, I don't know. I just never find too I just never get to a point where I feel more comfortable. I just get comfortable enough now to do the work, but the environment itself, if I spend too much time there, the comfort somehow, I don't know, I don't feel like being here anymore. But at home, I can spend 10 hours working, like obviously you'd have your breaks in between, but I could spend more time doing work than at the office. Because at home, I can stand up, get away from my working desk, take the laptop, go to a couch, still continue to do work. I could be making food. I could be doing work on the other side. Like there's just a lot of things that you could do to be productive. Even if I'm not so productive, but I get things done. At the office, it's just one setting for 8 hours. You're looking at the same environment for 8 hours.
Yeah, the cubes.
The cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, how I do it, like I would get away for a bit. It's like they probably got used to it now. Around 8, I go outside.
Wash your eyes.
Yeah, I go outside just to have like a different environment. I'd go to the parking, get a bit of air for like 10-20 minutes and come back. Around 1, I also do the same. I go out for a bit and then I come back. And in between those hours, I would just stand up from my desk, just stand up, walk around for a few minutes, can get back to the desk. I can't find myself sitting for like 8 hours, same environment, same view. I can't be productive like that.
Is it the people?
I don't think it's just the people. I think it's just a me thing. Because could be. Let me think about it.
Because I know we're not very
I don't
team
think so.
focused.
I don't think it yeah, I
You
never.
especially. No,
I
you
don't think about
especially.
the people.
You were carrying, I remember you already you built our system essentially
This man's giving me too
before
much
we even
credit.
started. Before we even started,
Too
you
much
were
credit.
you were more than happy to give everyone else the tasks, and then we all go our separate ways. So you work like that, and you work very well. Like
Now, the thing is, I've learned my lessons. Ne? It could be a flaw. It could be something else. Okay,
no, there's flaws.
I enjoy working with people. Ne? As long as people they are competent, and I also enjoy helping people grow because even myself, a lot of people help me grow in many aspects of my life. So what happens in a team is in most teams, you find that everyone is afraid to take control, to take charge, because it comes with the responsibility. If it fails, everyone looks at you. So at that point, I wasn't scared of failing. I've already failed before. I've already went through that. So now I knew from that experience what do I have to do to at least push the project to be a bit ahead. So start early. I know how it's going to be like. I know how they're going to test it. So I already have the experience. So now I've got like new members that I can work with. So instead, let me just push them. I don't mind taking more work if it means it's helping the team grow. It's the same as work. I don't mind someone giving me more work, even if it's outside my responsibility, as long as it helps the company grow, it helps me as a person grow. Because when you give me more work, as long as it doesn't overwork me, and I can manage it, I take it as an opportunity to learn something else, to learn something new. That's like sometimes you go peek at like your colleague at work who's doing something different, and you ask them, "What are you doing?" It's an interest, and from that interest, it could change a lot. It could change how you see your work. It could change how you want to do your work. It can even change like your entire profession. You'd want to do something else because there's someone doing something more interesting.
Some people can see that as a waste of time.
It's a you thing. It depends on how you
So
see.
how did
see-
you?
Yeah,
How did you come up with that? Why would you want to do that?
I don't want to do that.
Why would you want to stretch your?
Like I said, experiences. You wouldn't know you want to do something sometimes until you see someone doing it, and then you'll be like, okay, let me try that. It's one of those things. So like I don't try to deprive myself experiences of most things. There's certain things that I would never do because I personally feel like they're a bad thing, you know. But most things I try to give it a try, put one foot down, and if you see that okay, it feels good, then do more of it. If it's not good, then step away from it. Don't try to deprive yourself experiences, and also don't try to deprive other people experiences. sometimes before sharing your own experiences, allow them to have their own experience, allow them to have their own opinion before you share yours. It's just how it is. It's just that sometimes you don't know whether to share my own or allow you to have yours. The boundary between those two is very thin.
Very consistent though. I like that whole experience centric view. I wasn't I said a waste of time, but I don't see it as a waste of time. But I think I used to. I used to see it as a big waste of time to do things like the degree. You know, we started with the same degree.
Yeah.
It was
BIT.
BIT classic. It was classic BIT.
Yeah.
Only one of the group made it through that course, eh? We all jumped off. We all jumped off. It was like Survivor, but for
I feel
IT.
like most people, especially when we got into that IT, ne, we sort of didn't know that IT is very broad.
I don't know if it's supposed to be. I don't think the
Yeah,
university knew how to
we
deal with
went
it.
there with like the same mentality, and when we got there, we've realized that actually there's quite a lot of things that you can do within the IT industry, because our IT, remember, had like a lot of modules, had like modules in information science, your statistics, your maths, you had your information
Business,
systems,
philosophy,
you have computer
accounting.
science, you have all of that. And amongst our failures there, we've actually found something that we can do and like. And I feel like us not making it in other modules whatsoever made us to be the person that we are today. Because of that experience, we're able to find a path that would work for us.
We made it through. We made it through eventually. But
Yeah.
what I will say is, initially it was very depressing because I didn't like any of it. Any of it. Any of it. And I think all of you knew that.
Yeah.
Any of it. I didn't like any of it. And I saw it as a big waste of time. But I tried to push through.
Yeah,
But then, I mean, see, back there, that waste of time mentality carried over to a lot of things. I don't know where that mentality. Well, okay. So, in essence, I don't know where it changed, but I know that eventually I got the mentality of let's see what you can take from this experience.
Yeah.
Sure, it's not exactly what you want to do, but let's see. Let's see
What's
what
in
you
there?
can take from
Yeah.
it, right? And so from our degree, I learned project management. I learned a bit of coding. I learned a lot of things. UI.
That's
design,
that's
a lot of
actually
things.
crazy. When I think about it, first year I didn't have like a laptop at all.
You never laptop.
Yeah, I remember I didn't have a laptop. I used to go to the labs. By that time, I'm doing an IT degree.
That's whack. That's
I
whack.
only
But good
got
on
it
you.
in second year when I switched to informatics.
When did you switch? You switched in second year.
Yeah, I remember I switched the following year.
I followed you the year after.
You
that.
followed the year after. Somehow we got together.
Why did we coincide? Oh, it's because I got credits from my other.
Yeah, we got credits, and then I think it was from we enjoyed that informatics modules. I feel like we enjoyed them in some
The
ways.
lecturer was.
Yeah, it's crazy how the instructor, they can shape whether you like something or you dislike it. It's like maths. Maths is, I think it's one of the most difficult subject for most people. And the teacher itself, they can either make you hate the module or make you like it. There's probably some subjects in high school that you didn't like them because of this teacher, and then because of this one you started liking it more. So I feel like it's one of those things, and somehow it was in line with what you thought IT was, and when you got there you've realized, okay, there's actually more to it. We went from straight IT, which had like a lot of computer science modules, to information systems, which is where we are right now. And I feel like because of that path that we took, right now you can literally give me anything, I can learn it because
Yeah,
of that
it
experience and
taught
all the
you
failures and
to
all
be
of that. Like,
versatile.
yeah, it's like now we into development whatsoever. It's easy for me to learn like a separate language now, because now I know quite a few, and like they all have, like, they follow the same logic. It's just now a different syntax or whatever thing, but the logic is just the same. It's easy to learn now. Experiences, they shape us. Someone once, I think as a series called House Empty, this lady said that life is a series of rooms, and who you get stuck with in that moment, it shapes who you are.
Life is a series of rooms, and who you get stuck in that
in
moment.
that room. Yeah.
Oh. You're heavily influenced by the people around you from the get-go.
And it's a series of rooms. So now you're in this one. Next time
But you
move on to the next one, and then those experiences, they shape your thinking. Whatever, it could be for good, could be for worse. It's whatever, but that's life.
It's true. Because Brick said something similar. He said, like, if he didn't meet us, I'd like to speak to him about it because I want to know why he thought this way. But he said that if it wasn't for meeting us, he wouldn't have thought about business the way he thinks about it. He wouldn't have he wouldn't have taken upon himself projects and like coding projects and trying to go the extra mile.
Why. I know why.
Why?
You already have, we're still in university. You have Akil. Already he's coming to varsity, he's extremely tired, he's doing something extra on the side. And you are just there every day, you're just doing your work. And this man, surprisingly, he comes back from home, goes to campus, you are tired. But he's still passing. And then you are there, you're just doing one thing, and you still get the grades, you pass whatsoever. And then now it gets to a point where you've realized, okay, I can actually do more because someone else near you is doing that. You now think about Tato, for instance. You know, he's at the workplace, he's doing something extra, somehow. Now you don't feel the comfort between your friends when you're with your friends because they are doing quite more than you. And then instead you take aspirations, you learn from them, you now want to become more in life, and then they have like a different mindset about business. I don't think when I was in varsity, I thought about starting my own company. I never had that thought, you know. I never thought of doing something on the side. It was get to varsity, get a job, and then survive, you know. Survive. And at that moment, you realize that gens, they're not just surviving, they are thriving in a way because they are doing quite more than just the bare minimum. You could do the bare minimum, you'd be okay. You can survive your day-to-day life, but you actually want more than just surviving.
You actually want to live. There was a quote I heard from Elon Musk, some motivational video. Hey, you know, things are getting tough when you start listening to motivational videos to get through.
Yeah.
But he said that, I'm going to paraphrase it, but it was something along the lines of, there has to be more to it than just work. You can't just work.
You can't just work.
You can't just be work and then that's it.
What are you trying to achieve from doing that?
Yeah, there's got to be something else behind it as well.
What's the goal?
No, 100%, dude.
Because you could just every day wake up and go to work and do something. You get paid whatsoever. But I feel like eventually that would drain you, you know? When you do something every day and you just...
Without purpose.
Yeah, there's no purpose, there's no meaning behind it. You're just doing it because you have to.
That degree, that BIT degree, when I was doing that, that's literally what it was. I felt like, right, being honest, I felt like somebody stuck a syringe and was slowly drawing blood every day. That's what it was. And I don't blame anyone for the degree. My parents were actually nice in that they sat with me and they were like, okay, let's find a middle ground. I was interested in tech, you know, and so I was like, BIT, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, but if you don't have purpose, dude. And then you look at people like Tato.
Yeah.
Right? The man had everything laid out. He knew exactly what company he wanted to work for. He knew the bursary. He knew the... And at the same time, he was doing his side things.
You cannot slack when you have
TEDx
friends
speaker, published poet.
who thought about what they want to do in the next 5 years, and you're out here like, I don't even know what I'll do tomorrow.
You know, he's probably looking at us like, hey, let me not hang around with these plebeians but too long. It's going to rub off on me. But yeah, no, it's true. The room that you're in.
The room that you're in, it shapes you.
So maybe
because
that's
of that, the room now we somewhere like a bit above than what we were a couple of years back. We think differently.
That was the room we were in, but now we've moved on to other rooms. But here's what's interesting, right? So let's say it started with Tato, right? And we were in the room with him and we learned all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
We moved on to separate rooms now because we're all working separate jobs. But what's interesting is we take the learnings of the previous room and we actually give it to the people in the next room.
Yeah, it's like
quite
that.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a series of shared experiences that are being passed to the next people that are around you. So
100%.
That's just life. It's quite interesting because I feel like because of the experiences that we've shared together, when you expand to your own environment, different environment, I'm in a different environment, somewhere, somehow, you still meet like-minded people. It's like, I don't know, it's like, you know, like terms attract, you know. It's like that.
You see
You meet
things,
more
yeah.
of what you are in some ways.
Maybe it's the case that you see yourself in other people. And in that you see familiarity and comfort. And then it's the same thing, like for me, okay, Indian people, right?
Yeah.
If I get put in a new environment, I went to a metal concert with Joel recently, heavy metal. It's pretty dope. It was actually really dope.
Yeah.
You should come with us sometime. Actually,
I
you're
will.
open to
I
new
will.
experiences.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I went for it is because, well, I needed to step out. But other than that was also I wanted new experiences because I learned that from
You'll find me listening to gospel music while working, bro. I need something to
you
stimulate.
lie.
Bro.
I'd like to see that happen.
Something
You
different.
Spontaneously combust.
Something
Let me
different.
just- yeah, hectic. You just threw me off my train of thought. I can't imagine it. But in any case, so where was I going? So you can put me in an environment like that, and there weren't a lot of Indians, but there was one Indian dude, that Joel knew, and he came through, and he's a cool gent.
Yeah.
Zishan is his name, and
Oh, Zishan.
no, but it's a different
one.
Zishan. This is a different
Okay.
guy. And so, bro, we clicked. We because it's familiarity. He comes from the same culture. He comes from the same background. So we like
Clicked
this. And it's
instantly.
easy for me to do that because it's familiarity, because I see this.
Shared
And it's also because he's
experiences.
a very intelligent dude.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's smart as well. So we clicked. We saw that thing within each other, and we just. So you look for that in people.
Think about the friends that we introduce to each other. All of them, somewhere, somehow, we just, we link up because we have so much in common, either from the experiences that life or somehow we like the same things, and then we are able to click and connect.
And to connect. It's that familiarity, man.
And it's where we are. And you ask yourself, what's next? What's next from here, from your current stage? What's next? What can you do? People are thinking about families whatsoever. I don't know. I don't know.
You speak for yourself, my guy.
I don't know. Even your parents. I told Bongani, it's actually my uncle who said this, and I want to say it to Bongani. I said, when you graduated from varsity, your parents were expecting two things. One, degree. The second one, your other half. I'm doing the exact same thing that you're doing.
No.
No. I would say you're probably worse than me, because you are. I feel like your task, your job, or your side hustle whatsoever, they're not just centered around the same thing, like same type of job. Like, for instance, you do your video editing, you do your wedding shoots, you do videography, you're doing podcasts now, you have an app, you have that's about to be launched and all that. Like, there are so many different things that you do compared to, let's say, someone like me, because what I do, it's development, right? Tech space. But I just branch out from, in a sense that I'm doing it in a formal company. I work for a company, and I also do some things on like a personal level, like my own thing, my own team, whatsoever. And I feel like this is more or less the same thing. But what you do, it's on a completely different level. And I wonder, what kind of mindset does this man have, like, each day? Because now you have to switch on. You have to be a creative now. And then you don't have to be a creative in some instances. You have to just do something different compared to the creative work. All in all, it's just multimedia, but multimedia is different branches. And that's what you do. You try as many different branches as you can. And then you come here and say, we're doing more. You are doing more.
Okay. I can see this is not going to get anywhere, because we're just going to hit the tennis ball back and forth. But let me, as the podcast host, I have the final word. And I say you have the heart, your work ethic is insane, and part of it we've already discussed in in the episode. Yeah. So just explain the scale of the kinds of applications you're working on. You don't have to go into any specifics, but
Okay, so
to give people an idea as to
the idea is I do web web apps and mobile apps. So it could be your Android apps, your iOS apps, and then could be your websites. Could be maintaining company's business whatsoever. Lately, I've been involved in integration. So some projects they take I hop onto the project as an integration manager. So integrate you testing APIs, testing your security, this performance and all of that. So other devs can do the development whatsoever. So I try to diversify myself within the development space, not just to see just a developer. I'm a developer, but I'm also now a tester. So that's mostly what I do. So if you want a mobile app, a website, or whatever thing, I'm there. It's just that within the development space, what people don't understand is there's just a whole lot more into development than just taking someone else's idea and then making it digital. Like that's what most people clients they seems to confuse. They will tell you I want a website in 2 days. This and that in 2 days. I'm like, what? 2 days? What do you mean 2 days? And then so it's that's the most difficult thing, the clients, but you get other people, especially who understand a bit about, let's say, technology whatsoever. They know it's not an easy thing. So when you get into development, you start the phase of requirements gathering, whatever, up to development and all of that. They understand that it's not an easy thing, and then they ask you about deadlines, your timelines, whatsoever. Those are nice people to work with. So in terms of development, what I do to specialize, like I said, to add extra, I specialize in low code and native development. So you get platforms nowadays that actually make the development quite easier. Like your app went with a low code platform. It's easy to build and test. You build and test at the same time. You don't have to worry about a lot of technicalities of setting up an environment, deploying all of that. Low codes, they handle that stuff for you. It's just a matter of
what do you mean low code?
low code. So it's a platform where you don't go off scratch and, let's say, type your CSS to build an interface, whatever. It's a platform where you drag a component or a widget. Let's say, for instance, you want an image, you drag and it's already built in. So they've already have like built-in widgets or components that you can use for your website. So you drag that and then you build the page with drag and drop, drag and drop. You want a line header, pull a header out, say top bar, pull that in, you drag it in, you place it there, and then you place the widget somewhere within the page. So that's low code. I don't have to build it from scratch. Unlike native development, I have to write lines of code for an image, for a header or whatever. There you don't have to. So it simplifies the development process. But the downside to it is it's so limiting in some ways, because if the platform does not have like a specific feature and you want to put it into your app, then you can't do it. Unlike native, there's like a lot of things that you can integrate to a website. Let's say VDSR. We've tried many things. We've integrated, I think, was calendar thing, where I forgot the platform that we've used for the calendar thing for the booking. Was it
But
booking?
just for context, that's our final year vehicle digital records service. What to track a vehicle's service history. Yeah. So we wanted to
I wish that project went live with those guys.
Man, you know how much work we put into
We
it?
put so much work.
Sorry, just pull the mic a bit closer to you. We put so much work to that.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, we were trying to integrate. So that took a lot of coding, hands-on
I
coding.
think that
right?
development of that took more than 6 months, right? It should have.
It took about 6 months.
Yes.
But there was no way that was that wasn't no code or low code.
Yeah,
It
that
was
wasn't.
straight
That
code.
was native.
That was native.
That
So
was
that's what you call
native.
native.
Yeah,
Okay.
native development, where you have to type each single line of code to get whatever that you want. So I do both. A lot of companies nowadays they try and incorporate low code because it's so much easier. It's easier and it's cheaper and it's less time consuming, because you just build. You can literally build a page, a functional web page, couple of pages in a single day, and then now you have an
What
app.
sort of platform do you use for no code or low code?
Currently I use Flutterflow, and then for backend, I use Firebase because it easily works with Firebase and Supabase. Supabase is a relational database, so unlike Firebase, it's not a relational. So um, the entities, they're sort of like you have to connect them, like the tables in relational, they sort of like have a relation, they're linked, unlike low code, like confusing low code, unlike the non-relational databases, the NoSQL, they run sort of like a link. It's like basically a standalone table. So if it's a standalone table, fine, you can try and create the link and use references to reference the other one, but
Yeah.
it's an entity by itself. It's just a single table.
Okay, so if I have a person that owns a car in a relational database, you'd say you'd have the key of the car linked into
Car.
the person's table,
Yeah.
right? But in a non-relational database, they're not linked.
They're not linked.
So they're accessed separately.
Yeah,
But then how do you know that the car belongs to the person?
now you can create multiple references just to access whatever that you want there. So like in a relational non-relation databases, so they usually store an entry as a document. It's called a document reference, and then within the document reference, it's more like an identifier for that entry. It's like an ID. So in a non if it's a relational databases, then you have to more or less define the ID yourself. So like for instance, you can say an ID, it's a string, it's whatever thing. There, the document reference, it's usually auto-generated.
It's like a lookup table of some kind.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
usually auto-generated.
Okay.
And then you can use that reference to link it to something else. So like let's say I build a car, and then I want it to link with, let's say, a type there. Let's say it's a sedan and it has a reference of whatever long strings. You can use that reference and link it to the car. So that's sort of like the connection that you have.
But isn't that it's not very efficient when you have a lot of entries, right? Because you have
That's a
that
problem.
one document will
That's-
have like a
that's-
million different entries.
That's the problem.
Is it?
When you're dealing with a lot of entries, it's not so efficient. Like it's like handling a lot of data at the same time, like millions of records. It's a problem. Hence your relational database seems quite efficient with handling like thousands and thousands or even millions of records. So for small apps that don't use like a lot of data, like I would use Firebase. It's quick. It's very efficient in some ways, like your real-time databases where you don't have to like call the database to retrieve an entry. As soon as something changes in the database, it updates here. And like in some instances, when you change something, you have to call the database to retrieve the updated entry. So there's benefits to that. So like your app is, so far it doesn't seem to handle a lot of data, but we can scale later on if we use, like, let's say it has like thousands and thousands of records. We can scale it up, transfer the data to a database that can handle that data. But so far it's a small app. It's good, it's fast, it's efficient. That's what you want. And it's quicker, because the problem with a relational database is most of them you have to build them from scratch. Unlike a NoSQL, it's typically provided by a specific service. So like it could be like Firebase, it's a Google thing. So you've already have the database set up there. You can make it live just by turning on a feature or something like that, unlike your native one, where you have to go through the process of, let's say, deploying to Microsoft Azure, which might require a specific skill. There you can learn with NoSQL, you can learn the database in like a couple of days. If you're that quick, you can learn it in a couple of days and then start using it. Unlike SQL, you have to, how long it took us to understand just the structure by itself and then how it works and then hook it up into applications. So that's the beauty of NoSQL and low code. Everything is quick to learn. You don't have to necessarily have the skills of development to use it. Just by being like yourself, being a graphic designer, you can be a front end developer for a web app because you've already have the creative mindset. Now you're just dragging the widgets and doing whatever configuration so that it's responsive, it's whatever thing. It's a beauty of it. Anyone can learn that.
Mm.
Like
I think that's where it's going.
yeah,
though.
I've met clients that some clients where they're actually building the application, they just need specific assistance in other things that they feel
Specialized
like,
assistance.
yeah, where they feel like, okay, this might be too much for me to handle, but they are doing it. They are building an application and they are deploying it. The deploying it is, it's easy as like you can deploy it in, I can build something in a week and then deploy it in one day. That's how quick it is.
Right. I, but that's the direction it's going. Everything is getting simplified.
Everything is getting
Now the
simplified, but
clients can actually build the front end, operational front end, where you can actually type in fields and stuff, and you just get someone specialized to come in and hook up the back end.
yeah,
That's crazy.
That's the beauty of technology. It keeps on improving everything.
Okay. So, in the industry, obviously, I don't know it entirely. You're in it, but we did a similar degree. In the programming industry, you've got in terms of basic architecture, you've got your front end, which is the user interface, and that captures data, goes to the back end, which is where all your complex functions are.
Yeah.
Let's say you're entering it's a calculator. You've got your calculator app. The interface is the buttons. You type the numbers in.
Yeah.
Then the back end processes the maths. It has your algorithms or whatever there, does the maths, and then it feeds it back out to the front end. And then you've got your database in case you want to save some data. Like let's say take the answer from this question, multiply it by this.
Yeah.
It'll that's where the database is, and then callbacks and stuff to the back end. In the industry, there's a group of people that are extremely specialized and very sought after and paid very handsomely as well, known as the elusive full stack developers. You are one of them, right?
I'm a full stack. I'm a full stack
Yes.
because I don't just specialize in back end and front end. I just do everything all at once. I mean, there's some people can argue and say that if you try to do everything at once, then you're not really mastering anything, you know. And that's a fair argument, and it's true because I cannot learn, let's say, back end to its full potential because I don't just work with that only. I have to learn how both works at the same time and then learn a bit by this, then bit by that, then make it work. So someone who's a back end, they specialize in that, so they know the back end. I wouldn't say you can't know exactly 100% of it, but you know, like to an expect level where anyone could just, get your services for that and then hook up with your databases and then connect to your front end. That's nice. That's nice. Me, I try to do everything because I enjoy the beauty of learning back end. I also enjoy the beauty of doing your front end and then making both things work together to come up with a product for someone.
There's pros and cons though. There's pros and cons to specializing in something specifically.
Yeah, there is.
And then learning something. So the reason why full stack is so useful is because you can actually run a business that way. Because you can employ a team and you can look over their work. You know exactly what you're looking for.
The thing is, the reason why I try to do both is because when you're starting something, I cannot pay for someone to, let's say, do your front end.
You have to. Exactly. That's my issue as well.
I can't pay someone to do that. I have to do everything by myself
100%.
until I get to a point whereby I feel like, okay, I can bring additional members now to assist with specialized things. It got to that point where when I build, let's say, a website or app or whatever, you've met some of the guys I work with. So I would outsource them to build the front end, and then I can focus on other things. That's one way of trying to get the product faster to the client. Because if I have to do everything by myself, then it takes a bit more time. But if I get
a bit more time for you, it's still lightning quick for us. Just by the way, But okay,
compared to most people, yeah, I'd say so. But yeah, like when you do that, now when you have the help of a front end developer and then I come in as a back and then we build a solution faster. Now you have something what you need quickly. But initially I didn't have that. I had to build everything from scratch I have to connect everything, and I have to talk to the clients. I have to do all of that thing. Now it gets to a point where you're actually thinking, okay, maybe I need to do I need to hire a project manager, because I'm actually doing a project management now. I'm doing project management. I'm doing back end development. I'm doing front end. Now it's better when you get someone who specializes in project management. They make things easier and quicker. They know how to communicate with clients. Me, I'm just a dev. I can communicate certain things. I'll probably explain things that you don't even care about
Yeah.
or even understand.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And also the admin. There's no time for admin. Dude,
Emails.
last year we were doing a photography campaign for graduations. I was getting phone calls from clients, right? And we had a few photographers, and then so I would delegate. I didn't have time for that. Dude, I'm busy. I'm busy on like X, Y, and Z. And then I'm getting a phone call like, hello, who is this? Like, yeah, no, we saw your ad for, and I'm like, okay, let me find out. To go to the photographers and be like, who's ready? Who wants to take this job
Yeah.
ticket? Man,
Get someone to do that.
I was considering getting a separate phone, using my other phone,
Then you
getting a
know that
separate
this
SIM
one
card.
is
Yeah. And then eventually you actually give that to someone else to manage.
I mean,
There's no time.
like especially now, you're still growing. You don't have like, let's say, resources to pay someone who would say, yeah, I'm a proper project manager. You can, like, what I try to do is to give the task to someone close by who sort of can use the assistance of like the money, whatever thing. You get someone even said to me like, why don't you just get like third-year students who are doing something in development, get them
Give them
to
some experience.
yeah, to work for you, get a bit of experience. Meanwhile, they're also learning something, they're getting something, and you're also, getting the product done. And then your clients are happy, everyone is happy. And then once you build on, who knows, maybe you might get to a point whereby your company is now making tons and tons of money, and then you can absorb these ones to permanent employees whatsoever, or partner with them until you guys reach like a potential company, get to that level.
No, and that should be the goal. Expansion should be the goal.
Expansion.
Because you're going to reach a limit where it's physically impossible.
Yeah.
Physically impossible to be in 10 different
Which
places.
is why now you try to get jobs that are a bit flexible so that you can do what you have to do on the side. Because most people, the money that you get from, fine, some other companies pay, let's not lie. But even if they pay, I think I'd still want flexibility, because you still get offers that they say, come work for us and then we'll pay you this much. And we realize, okay, sure, you can pay me that much money. It could be good enough to survive. It could be good enough to get me something, let's say a car, for an example. But then you don't have the flexibility of doing your own things. And that's a problem, especially for me, because I'm trying to do something on the side. I'm trying to build, I'm trying to venture into, let's say, entrepreneurships and other things, where I have my own company and other things. And then when you work for someone that you actually don't have time for that, then it's like now I have to every day focus on my day-to-day job, and I get no value. It's like you learn, you enjoy the job at first, and then you get to a point in time where the job itself, the job alone, is not enough anymore. You want to do something on your side. You want to experiment, and if there's no room for experimenting, then there's no growth anymore. Because if you, let's say, you work for a company that specializes on, say, building development with just one specific software, you actually get a point where you are tired of using that software.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
and then you see the advancement in tech or something like that, technology, IT in general. They are building new products. You want to experiment with those products, and your company does not allow you to do that because they're just a traditional company. And you need to, have time, by like your own time, to experiment with that. And who knows, someday you might build a company based on what's out there. Like now, your low codes, there are companies that are based on just using low code platforms to develop web apps. And it's something that some people, they still say that it's still not good for most of the apps. It's not responsive whatsoever. Yeah, true. There's some advantages and disadvantages to that, but at the end of the day, you have to take an opportunity when you see it. Someday it might work, someday it might not work. Someone said, Ash, I read something in LinkedIn. So, like the low code platform that I'm using, Flutterflow, it's based on Flutter. Flutter is a product by Google. So this guy is saying that Flutter is dead. That's what he says. It's dead because number one, it's not receiving the same funding as other Google products. And Google is known for killing other products. And he's right about Google killing other products. Google kills like a lot of products that you probably were using, but they choose for some reasons that it's not worth it to venture into it. And that's a big concern.
Photos,
Yeah,
Google
yeah,
Photos and what
they
yeah.
kill like a lot of products. What did they kill recently? I forgot the name of the product, but yeah, he's right about that concern. Hence, you learn Flutter, but you don't just stop there. You learn other things. Flutter is good for building cross mobile platform, websites or mobile apps, whatever. You can do that. It's nice for that. But that's not the only language that can do that. You can get into Flutter, and then once you get into Flutter, you can learn something else that more or less does a similar thing. That's the whole point. Like I'm doing something now. I'm using this product. This product might not exist forever, but the fact is, it exists
Yeah,
now.
use it.
It
Use
exists
it.
now. I
Use
use
it,
it
use
now.
it.
When it stops, when I see that, okay, because let's say they are killing a product, they'll communicate to say that they are killing that product.
But that's why you have to be versatile. Then
Be
at least
versatile.
you'll know. If I was only using Adobe Premiere Pro to edit my videos, and then Adobe says, "Yeah, we're canceling it," it's like, at least I know DaVinci Resolve, and I know other softwares as well.
We're talking
So-
about TikTok now. The ban
Yes.
because of US stuff, whatever thing. Someone said that I'll be safe though because I also have like YouTube channels whatsoever.
I got my base everywhere else. yeah.
It's everywhere. My fan base is not just here; it's on other things. That's what you try to do. You
Versatility.
diversify.
You
Because
diversify.
if you just focus on one platform, there's no guarantee that platform would be there forever.
Exactly.
Who knows what will happen to TikTok if they remove it from the store?
Yeah.
You cannot download an APK and install it. Most people wouldn't do that. It's just too much work for them.
So
So
making me think, because I recently helped my mom get a cooking TikTok open. It's doing really well, by the way.
Yeah,
I'll show-
no,
I don't
notice.
know if she told you about it,
She invited me. I've been looking at the platforms.
and it's doing really well, but it's only on TikTok. So I think I need to transfer to YouTube Shorts as well.
YouTube Shorts, your Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels, all those things you can take
But it's a
advantage
job,
of.
eh? It's a job.
Ah,
I could, just
can
getting it
imagine.
consistent, just knowing when to have time to edit that stuff, and with other work as well. Just
Which is why most
I'll-
YouTubers they do everything themselves.
Yeah, I know.
And they'll
I'll
tell you
pay
the
my
video will be
sister a
out
small-
next week.
yeah, I'll pay my sister a small allowance, and I'll tell her
That's something.
go do the work. Yeah, but in any case, dude, man, I'm surprised at how fast time is flying right now, because there's so much I still want to talk to you about, but we're gonna have to, I think, cut this one.
Cut
Yeah,
it short, yeah.
yeah. But no, dude, I don't know, how do people end their podcast? Thanks for taking the time, actually.
I
Because
appreciate
You
it.
actually, it's you and the people around me. That's why I'm so like grateful. Like when it comes to family and friends and stuff. I know I'm very secluded because I'm always doing this kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
when push comes to shove, and I ask you, and I ask the guys, and I ask my family to help me,
Mm-hmm.
you're there. I still call back to when I was working at the university. I asked you to come help me with that video project, and it was like one of the most boring projects in the world. And I thought this man is never gonna come. 20 minutes later, man is here, using an Uber. He's like, "Yeah, show me where to go." And I think you were using your phone at the time.
I
or
was
you
using
were
my phone. Yo.
Insane. I still think back to that day, and I'm just really appreciative. So thank you.
I appreciate the invite. I'm honored. I was shocked, like I said earlier. This man is inviting me to a podcast. I don't know. I don't think there's much interesting about me, honestly. And
Insane, dude. Are you
I don't
insane?
think there's much interesting, and I'm struggling to articulate myself. I'm learning, so I agreed to be here as part of the learning process.
That's the thing.
So I appreciate it. When it comes to being a good friend, I think one of the things that I've at least tried to do or surround myself in is people that I can rely on. Like you're one of those people, and I try to, put the same effort. When someone is good to you, be good to them. When someone is reliable to you, be reliable to them. When you form friendship relationships whatsoever, now it's about who can I call when I'm in trouble, bro? Who can I call? And you would like to be that person to someone else. and you'd like also to have other people do that same thing to you. I know when I'm in shit, these friends are there for me, and I know when they're in shit, they can rely on me. That's what you're trying to do at the end of the day. Be a better person and influence everyone to be good around you. So I feel like that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what I'm getting from you as well. So I appreciate it.
We used to have those kinds of conversations on campus for hours. You remember? We used to
Our
stay.
grass.
Everyone would go home, and we just used to sit there and watch the sun set. Just talking about random things, talking about tech and life and things. And here we are now.
Yeah.
Talking about the same stuff, but in
Talking about the same
different
stuff.
positions in
Yeah.
life though. But yeah, no, thanks, Pride. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, hey?
Cool. So that was the first episode, dude. You hungry?
Obviously. Food.
Let's get something to eat.